Ooh, there's some beautiful kale in my garden. I'm going to pick some and make a quiche. Yeah! Got some really beautiful kale that I just picked out of the garden. I think I brought some bugs in too. If you've seen my videos, you know that I made a video several years ago on one of the recipes in my Pop It in the Toaster Oven cookbook called Quick Broccoli Quiche. It's in there and it's a great recipe. Then about a year ago I did a takeoff on that recipe, Collard Quiche for the new year. Oh, that turned out really well too. So I seem to be continually inspired by this quiche recipe, and today when I saw that I had that beautiful kale out in the garden, I decided I was going to do a kale quiche. So first I'm going to preheat my toaster oven to 250 because I'm going to make the crumb crust first. And this is going to be a pumpernickel crumb crust. Wow, and doesn't this look nice and simple? I got my bowl here, my spoon. I have 2 tablespoons of sesame seeds. I have 1/4 cup of margarine. You can use butter if you want. And I made this pumpernickel crumbs here. I had pumpernickel bread, and then I just toasted it up really well, and then ran it through the blender. So there's my pumpernickel bread crumbs. And a beautiful 1/2 cup of grated Parmesan cheese. And then I just have some salt here. So what I'm going to do is put these together and mix them around really well. That's going to be my crust for the quiche. So in go all the ingredients. There's the cheese, the crumbs, the sesame seeds, and the margarine. Now this crust is going to go into a pie pan. In this case, it's like a 9-inch non-stick pie pan. And then what I'm going to do is just press it out to the edges to cover the whole pan. Oh boy, this smells good already because of the cheese. Sometimes I've put the cheese in the filling. I thought I'd try the cheese in the crust this time. Okay, so the toaster oven is up to temperature, which is 250. So in goes the crust. I'm just going to brown it up a little bit. And I'm going to set the timer for 10 minutes. And while that crumb crust is browning up nicely, I've assembled the filling ingredients for this kale quiche. So there's my nice fresh kale. That's about 3 cups. It's packed, but that's 3 cups of kale. Here is 4 eggs. Here also is 1/3 cup of, this is unbleached flour, which I prefer using. Here is 1/3 cup of cream cheese. It's just regular, sort of what they call low-fat cream cheese. And here is 1/4 cup of onion that I've just chopped up. And then what I'm going to reserve for sprinkling on top is this 2 tablespoons of, yes, you guessed it, more Parmesan cheese. So all of this plus 1/2 teaspoon of salt for me is going to go into the blender. So there's the eggs, flour, there's the kale, onion, the cream cheese, and then I'm going to add the salt. There's the beautifully brown pumpernickel crust, and it smells wonderful. I'm going to put the filling in now. And while I'm doing this, I've also preheated the toaster oven up to 400 so I can bake the total quiche. So in goes the filling. And then I'm just going to sprinkle the top with the 2 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese. The oven is up to temperature, so in goes the Kale Quiche. Pan is a little warm. And I'm going to set the timer for 30 minutes. There is the Kale Quiche, and actually I tested it just a few minutes ago. It's totally firm. That's how you know a quiche is done. And it was 25 minutes. So I decided to take it out and not wait for the 30 minutes. But what I'm going to have to do now is cool it a little bit and then have a slice to see what it tastes like. It smells wonderful. As I guessed, this is very cheesy. The cheese in the crust and the cheese on top is really nice. And I have to say I used a pretty good quality Parmesan cheese. So that does make a difference. The pumpernickel crust is lovely. There's really a lot of body to it, which is very nice. Has a wonderful taste to it. Look at that color. It's a bright green quiche. It's quite lovely. I think a while back there was an attitude about quiche being kind of for sissies. That men shouldn't eat quiche. But I personally find this to be very hearty. There's nothing wimpy about quiche. There's a full grain taste with the crust, and then the body of this quiche is very firm and lovely. And if you like pizza, you would really like quiche. And quiche is just one of the many, many recipes in my cookbook. There are desserts in here and breakfasts, entrees, there's poultry, there's meat dishes. There are beautiful, beautiful recipes, including quiche. And if you happen to be very fond of the color of this, which is a bright green, which could be mixed with a cadmium yellow and a phthalo green, you might want to paint a picture of this quiche. I'm thinking I would like to do a still life because the color is so beautiful. If you go to YouTube, you can look at my 2 channels, Palette and Palette, and guess what? They're about cooking and about art. So plenty of art lessons that I've written that are very, very good quality. And of course, beautiful art demos and cooking demos as well on YouTube. And please do check out my website, free online art classes. And it's really true. My art classes are totally free. So check it out. Palette and Palette. And try this quiche. Try your own variations with it. See what you can come up with.